What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. Today, let's talk about commercial shooting ranges, specifically why they suck. And I mean, really suck, because I think I officially had my worst experience ever at a commercial shooting range, and I've hit a tipping point. I went to the range yesterday, a couple days ago, yesterday, and let me tell you, I had a time. Tried to put some time in with my 14.5 here. You guys have seen her on her channel before. And my new Icarus grip as well. She's right here, which I will do a video on soon. And it was a shit show. Now, before anybody gets all up in arms, I get it. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Maybe you live in an urban area. Maybe it's the only option you have. Or maybe you just like the environment. But for me, as of late, I am avoiding commercial shooting ranges like the plague, and I will continue to avoid them probably for the foreseeable future. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. And this didn't just happen overnight. It kind of just, when I started taking shooting more seriously and I started going to ranges more and more, I just started to notice things. I just wanted to share those things. There's a lot of people who are starting out or who are trying to stay steady who watch my content. I just want to share my findings essentially. First off, have you been to a commercial range lately, like recently? A lot of these places are not well kept. And I know someone is going to type in the comments that the range they go to is spectacular, but I just don't believe this is the norm, not for most people. And not just from my experience, but from stories I have heard from friends, family, and guys in the military, guys who are police, guys who shoot competitively, who shoot a lot. Um, And it's the same across the board. It's pretty consistent. Nasty floors, the air smells like burnt gunpowder and disappointment, horrible check-in processes, um, and even worse prices. And the lanes, if you can get one, dirty, beat up, brass everywhere, non-functioning equipment. I've been to too many where half the target police were busted. Had bullet holes where there shouldn't be bullet holes, and the lighting just made me feel like I was in some underground bunker waiting on Bane to show up. Like it's weird. And now for me, I don't like going to indoor ranges if I don't have to due to the sound and health reasons alone. But if I had to, I will. I'm not like bougie or anything like that. But man, a lot of indoor ranges just need a full makeover. Like we need one of those like that bar rescue, but for like shooting ranges. Now, let's talk about how packed these places get. Because and it's great that people are going shooting, but damn, you wanted to do some shooting after work? Yeah, that ain't happening. You're gonna be standing behind five guys in jeans and flannels arguing over whose 1911 is more pure. Weekends, even worse. Like, first of all, if you're planning to go to a range on the weekends, that's like that's like going to Disney, prime time, summertime. You're gonna be doing some waiting. There are always way too many people crammed into a limited tiny space, and you're lucky if you get more than 30 minutes before you feel like you need to give up your spot out of guilt because there's so many people behind you staring, waiting for their chance to go. At one point, while I waited what felt like 1,000 hours at the 100-yard area, one of the guys using one of the booths, he went to his car, came back with something, whatever, and then he stopped at the little bleacher area where everybody waits and was having a full-blown conversation with some guy about his 22 and his setup. And mind you, we've been waiting. All of us been waiting, and we're just watching this guy that has a booth have a conversation off to the side while we wait. Like, again, mind you, we've been waiting a while, and there's only like 5 booths. It just kills the vibes. I don't like starting my sessions angry. I like to be clear-headed, but damn, sometimes it's just hard not to get there before you even get the shoot. It, it doesn't take much to be considerate. That's my biggest thing. And you'll get that a lot when you start going to these places. It's just a lot of people are inconsiderate. The place is not well managed in the first place, and it just sucks. And then we got the FUDs. You know exactly who I'm talking about too. The guy who looks at your gun and goes, "Why the heck do you need that?" The ones who scoff at red dots, compensators. Why would you get ports? Or anything that wasn't issued in the 60s. You know, you got to keep everything stock or whatever mumbo jumbo they're spewing. They're the type who think that if you're not hunting with it, it's pointless. You will run into them at ranges. You will hear their unsolicited opinions. It's a lot. A- And if you get into this, you're gonna run into this the more you shoot. It's just the way it is. But even without the FUDs, let's talk about indoor ranges in particular. Now, I mentioned I don't like going to indoor ranges, but if I have to, I will. And I've experienced all these things. And honestly, it doesn't matter if it's indoors, outdoors. The problems really across the board, except for like the breeding, the breathing of the toxins. You don't get that outdoor ranges, but everything else is pretty much even keeled. It's pretty similar. Like I said, I don't like going to indoor ranges, but if I don't have to, I don't. One of the biggest reasons is the sound and the health reasons alone. You think double ear pro is enough? I mean, it may be, but not really. Not really. The concussion from some dude with some short barrel 308 and a tiny echoey lane is damn miserable. I promise you that. It sucks. Then there's the toxic fumes, like I mentioned. And I don't know, you ever shoot for a while and then you realize you're inhaling so much lead dust and burp powder that you think you'll need a detox after you leave? Like, yeah, that's every trip to an indoor range, what feels like. And then the space aspect, you're just locked into this little lane with no real ability to move, no ability to practice drawing from concealment, moving and shooting, or doing anything beyond standing still and plinking at a piece of paper. And even if the range did allow it, you're bound to get flagged by some dude who has not bothered to train at home or take proper classes, doesn't dry fire, didn't watch not a single YouTube video, but they're confidently drawing from concealment with a loaded gun fast. From appendix 2. Like, it's just it's just dangerous. Like, we all like a little dangerous. We'll like a little danger in there sometimes, but not that type of danger. Like, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel scared because some guy 3 lanes down may potentially shoot one of us. Like, and that's not even the worst. I've seen some horrible flagging at ranges. It that should have been picked up, but they weren't. Which brings me to the RSOs, range safety officers. Some of them, great people. I've met some great guys who were range safety officers who actually cared and paid attention. But others either completely checked out or way too overzealous. You get the ones who are undertrained, just standing there on their phone, not paying attention. And then here comes this guy about to flag the whole building. Or you get the ones who are way too gun-ho about their authority. Their authority. Ready to throw you out over breathing wrong. Like, I've seen some overzealous range safety officers. I'm sure you guys have seen some too. And I'm sure I'll hear some stories in the comment section. There's a lot of bad range safety officers out there. And again, it's dangerous. And, I like to bring my family shoot. I want to bring my kids shooting. I want to bring friends shooting. I don't want to bring somebody somewhere and these range safety officers are screwing it up. I feel like there's no middle ground. Now, one of the biggest problems that I have that really pissed me off is that how modern shooting ranges push away new shooters and women in particular. Now, when I say this because I have 4 sisters, 2 daughters, just constantly around women, always have been. It's actually great. But if you're a newbie, commercial or a woman, commercial shooting ranges are just not the place to start. They're intimidating, they're loud, they're full of people who love to make you feel like you don't belong. And like I said, for the women, the condescending comments, the side eyes, the unsolicited advice, flirting, guys trying to shoot their shot at the gym while people are trying to get their training done. It's a nightmare. It's the same issue we see at commercial gyms, really. I saw the same problems at commercial gyms. You're just there to train, and yet people act like you walked into their private club. It's toxic, and it pushes people away from shooting altogether. Honestly, I don't know how some women deal with it, to be honest. And that's the best comparison I had, really. It's the commercial gym and commercial shooting ranges are one and the same. Packed, uncomfortable, filled with egos, and full of people who don't actually want to see others succeed. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody, but there's a lot of people that they just show up to show off. And it's just like I saw the same thing with commercial gyms, and I ended up having to build a home gym just to get away from that stuff, to actually train the way I wanted to in peace. And it was the best decision I ever made. Best decision I ever made. I recommend it. If you have the means, don't go to commercial gyms. They suck. Do your own thing because it'll go a lot further. The peace you get. I mean, the peace you get. And I feel like more and more shooters are moving towards that private land, private ranges, or setting up their own solutions just to get away from the nonsense. And that's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly where I'm headed. I actually called a realtor the same day after leaving the range that day. Let her know exactly what I was looking for, what I wanted. I wanted to get the process started ASAP because I just don't want to keep experiencing this over and over again. You know what they say about insanity. I just don't want to keep dealing with it over and over again. It actually blows my mind because in 2025, vape 2025, we have not figured out a better way to run shooting ranges. Like I just watched a YouTube video on a handgun that had an optic on it that had thermal capabilities. Like we're doing awesome shit, but we can't figure out shooting ranges. There's no innovation, no streamlined process. It's the same experience. It's been for decades. No decent system for lane reservations. That's a big one. No good processes for keeping things running smoothly. Like there's no effort into making it more accessible for new shooters. It's just stagnation. And honestly, it's pushing away people from the 2A community. It is. It's supposed to be the mecca where people come to learn and have fun, but learn and train, get better, and it's pushing people away. So, yeah, I hate shooting ranges, especially I'm talking specifically about commercial rangers. And yeah, they're overcrowded, poorly managed, full of toxic range culture, and just overall a miserable experience most of the time. Sometimes you'll have some decent days, but most of the time, if you got the means, I highly recommend finding an alternative. Private land, a good outdoor range with some space, or even just linking up with a good group to train with. Because let's be honest, most commercial ranges, they're just not built for serious shooters, people who want to take this seriously, people who want to train and get better, not just have fun, you know? And if you carry your gun for protection every day, you should be a serious shooter. You should take your training seriously. So, and range is just commercial range is just not built for that, in my opinion. They're just a glorified amusement park for planking, essentially. I'm actually jealous of a lot of the guys that I subscribe to on YouTube that have amazing places to shoot at. And I feel like I watch their content just to admire their range. Um, and yeah, I'm extremely jealous and I can't wait to get to that point. And I know that I'm a quote unquote gun tuber and I may shoot more often than the average person, but that precise fact is why this is even more important to discuss. Why would someone that's barely into shooting want to keep coming back and dealing with all this bullshit, all the bullshit we talked about? And also, in my opinion, a good gun tuber will only grow and be as good as his home range will allow him to be. The place where he can go to consistently and train and shoot and do videos and all that. And I'm not saying ranges to have the capability to shoot videos like the gym. Not everybody wants to be recorded and all that, but just trying to get some personal training done is a hassle these days, let alone doing videos and reviewing products and being consistent with shooting and training while recording for you guys out there. So the best advice I can leave you guys with is this. Number one, if you must use one of these commercial ranges, make sure you train at home. Dry fire as much as you can. Watch, as many videos as you think that you need. Practice, practice, practice. Not only will it help you not draw the wrong type of attention, but it ensures you're getting the most out of that time you're spending training because shit, range time ain't cheap and neither are the bullets. Ammo is not getting any cheaper at all. So, plus, the community can be very snobby and pretentious, so knowing your shit goes a long way, a very long way. So be prepared. And we are in that era of, they're in the golden age of information. So like you have access to so much information in the palm of your hand. So again, be prepared. Number two, if you can, save up and buy land, especially if you're younger. I regret not doing this sooner. I have wasted tons and tons of money on bullshit throughout the years, on frivolous bullshit that really meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. Cars, bikes, stinkers, clothes, going out, going to clubs, drinking, partying, just bullshit. Had a great time and learned a lot of things, but just stuff that no longer serves me, but I sure as hell sunk a ton of money into them. If I could talk to my younger self, I would make it a priority, really, because it's very doable. When I was talking to the realtor about the numbers and all that, the numbers actually, I mean, I paid more monthly for a car than what I'm potentially about to pay monthly for a piece of land where I can do what I love and train and do some shooting. So make it a priority. You don't have to do it alone. You could round up some family members. You can, call it the family range, and you guys could practice, or a group of friends, practice some group economics. It's very doable. Don't put excuses in front of yourself like I did. Even up until 2 years ago, I was making excuses. So don't wait, do it now. If you can, if you have the means. And also don't sleep on renting land from private owners too. There's a lot of people out there who own land who, I mean, times are tough now. They'd be willing to work something out where you can rent out a piece of their land to do some of the shooting as long as you're safe and you're doing what you're supposed to do. So look into that. And lastly, three, I'd rather travel further less often and stay longer and have a better time than travel less and hate my time there, even though I go more often. Meaning, if you have to travel to find a safe range to get your training in, do so. It's worth it. You end up meeting the people you need to meet in those better places anyway. So if you have to, travel a little further and train a little bit less, but you're staying a little bit longer and having a better time, it's worth it. Do it. Rather than going more often to that other dump that sucks, you know? And I promise you, it gets better. But get you some land. That's the key. And that's all I got for you guys today. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you do agree, well, welcome to the club. And I like to mention, like I said earlier, I am in the process of trying to buy my own little piece of gunpowder heaven, and I will bring you guys along for the journey. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure a lot of people would want to see how that works. I tried to find videos on that. There's not a lot of videos on that. So a lot of very broad, generalized videos on buying land for shooting. So I just want to bring you guys along to see how that works and how it goes. So again, stay tuned for that. But thanks for watching. Stay safe, train smart, recycle, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Deuces.